I've done the write-up here for the quarterbacks. I've had 3 listed as elite. Patrick Mahomes, he's number 1 quarterback pretty much everywhere in terms of ADP, MVP, Super Bowl champ, arguably the most talented person to ever step foot on a football field. Problem is, you may have to pick him in the first round if you want Patrick Mahomes. Boys, what's your thoughts in terms of tactics? I don't know if first round quarterback is the best way to go. Maybe if you're on the in a snake draft and you've got sort of the 10, 11 or the 9 and the 12, maybe you can be thinking about it. But it's in a position that's very deep.
Yeah, there's too many better options. And considering if you're playing, it's still 10 or a 12 team league. That means that even if you pick the last quarterback, you'll still be picking the 10th or 12th best quarterback in the draft. I'm pretty sure I picked the last starting quarterback last year. It was Jalen Hurts in the 9th round. So
you come pretty good there.
Yeah, so
we're in a keeper league.
So I think you can definitely wait on quarterbacks, and there's plenty of good talent. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. You could target him maybe as a 3rd round. You get your starting wide receivers or an RB wide receiver, to kick you off. I think going QBs and in round 1 is a recipe for getting the wooden spoon. So
I think, we play fantasy football for fun. If you're a Chiefs nut and have, you're on that turn and you want to have...
You'd be picking Kelsey in the first round.
Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about tight ends.
Yeah, well, I think that's what you say. If you're in that snake draft type situation and you've already got some good keepers,
maybe you do it.
Then you pair him up with Kelsey in the first, 2nd round or 2nd, 3rd round.
But there's just so many good options. In the mid,
it depends on the keepers and stuff. Yeah,
it's it's quarterbacks. Everyone scores well. You can go no quarterback and just
pick Kirk Cousins,
stream someone,
and still do good.
We're talking about Netflix showing quarterback. We're talking about my wife before.
Yeah,
her favorite NFL player now, Kirk Cousins.
have you seen their script writing ad? Big Kirko, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's the handlebar.
You like that? You like that, baby? The chain and everything. So Captain Kirk.
So into who's your other elites?
Elites, I've got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. So Allen and Hurts now, we're sort of looking back into the 2nd round. So you've already gone for your elite RB or your elite receiver. Then if you wanted to start being bullish on a quarterback, maybe you start thinking here, Allen or Hurts. Obviously, the best running quarterbacks in the NFL that aren't named Lamar Jackson, who we'll get to in a second. Jalen Hurts, 13 rushing touchdowns last year. Be hard to back that up again. We could see a regression there. His passing numbers could improve.
Yes, that's the other thing.
It's hard to rush for 13, touchdowns as a quarterback. It helps when you squat fucking 600 pounds.
Yeah, and you've got the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah. So say he rushes for 10 touchdowns and throws a few more. Well, you're set.
Still breaking about even. So I like Hurts. I still just don't love quarterbacks. Probably round 3 and earlier. Yeah. And considering you just mentioned, Lamar Jackson's maybe there more on a 4th or 5th. And if you really want to take a little bit more risk, you got Justin Fields there, who had a leap back after the year, and he's been some chat about him being in the MVP conversation, which I think is probably a great extravagance. I don't think he's quite there at this stage, as a passer to be, say, the MVP. But he's definitely developing, and he's more in that middle pack. I think that's a better kind of target, especially in fantasy world.
Well, here I've got these middle quarterbacks. So elite is these guys are going to score week in, week out. If they don't get hurt, they're going to be top 5, top 6 quarterbacks. The trade-off is you're giving up some elite running back or receiver talent. These guys, maybe, if you're a bit more cautious and want a very good quarterback, I've got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Justin Fields. Fields probably should be in this category if we're just talking about regular football. Not yet, at least. Not yet, in his 3rd season. He's still developing as a passer, hasn't been on a great offense over the last few years. But fantasy-wise, 1,140-odd rush yards last year and 8 rushing touchdowns. To take him in the 5th round, he could be better this year.
Yep.
So, like you were saying, I think...
And they've got him more weapons. So they've got him more weapons there, so he's either primed for a big year, which is just see if he can capitalise.
running quarterbacks, none are better than Lamar Jackson. He was hurt last year, so there's risk, obviously, when injuries are associated. But we're also talking about a league MVP and maybe the fastest. I nearly said running back. That was a Freudian slip. Maybe the fastest quarterback of all time. The ceiling could be huge. We could be looking at top 2 fantasy quarterback if Lamar stays healthy.
Yeah, definitely. And again, they've gone away. They've got him some extra talent to pass to help with. Dobbins is hopefully back healthy. So, yeah, it could be Lamar Jackson's season. And they paid the man, so I think he's happy. So
he might be the fastest ever. He's the highest paid quarterback ever if he sees out the contract. Then 2 very different quarterbacks, and both coming off different seasons. So Joey Burrow, very, very solid last year. There's no reason why Cincinnati doesn't win their division and go deep. Obviously, playoffs doesn't matter, but a team that wins and plays well, and Joey Burrow throws for 3 or 4 touchdowns week in, week out. Very solid option there. Justin Herbert.
He just doesn't give you anything with the legs.
Nothing with the legs.
I think the main that funny stat was Mac Jones had more rush yards than him last season. So yeah, but having said that, he can throw bulk touchdowns.
Big time. A guy coming off a different season, Justin Herbert. Pretty down year last year. I think he finished as quarterback 11.
Yeah,
which he's better than that. Still an elite talent. He didn't have his receivers healthy for a lot of last year. Reasonable target in the 5th round.
Yep.
I've got one guy here listed as a solid pick. I think Trevor Lawrence, again, will be better this year. In his sophomore year last year, he actually looked like the franchise quarterback. He looked like the number 1 overall pick after a very shaky rookie season. And if you want to go Trevor over the other guys I've listed as solid in Tua or Dak or Cousins, he rushed for 5 touchdowns. He gives you a little bit with the legs that these other 3 don't really give you.
And again, went out and got some more weapons for him. So
that offense will be good this year.
I agree.
Could be anything. We're talking low floor. We're talking high ceiling. And that's just for the massage table. You're talking about Deshaun Watson here, okay? He looked, let's be honest, he looked ordinary in his 6 games for Cleveland last year.
Yeah, he was very rusty.
Very, very rusty. He's going to have a full season at it this year.
He's looked way better in preseason as well.
He really could be anything. Cleveland could be anything. This is a risk pick.
Yep.
This is could be top 3 quarterback, could be not in the top 15.
Yep.
So a risk pick. Then some question marks. We're starting to look at more deeper leagues, 12-team league, 16-team league. I've got Rodgers, got the Green Bay hat on. I don't hate the man, Go and do your thing. He got treated like shit by all accounts in his last few years at Green Bay. Looking good on Hard Knocks. Look like he's gelling. He's going to have Garrett Wilson, who could be, an elite talent this year. But it is a new system, and he's old, and he looked old last year. So caution.
Yeah, it's not a super different system because, of course, he's got Nathaniel Hackett over there. But
he's old, OC.
Yeah, but it's. You're right. He did look old, but we'll see whether better receiving talent is probably the big one. Whether that helps, and he's got a plethora of good running backs there. Yeah, time will tell on whether Rodgers can be Rodgers of old.
Then I've got 2 guys who coming off really good years, especially fantasy wise. Geno Smith was quarterback 5. I think Danny Jones was quarterback 9 or 10.
Yep. He ran a lot
last year. Well, Danny Jones had comparable numbers to Josh Allen running last year. 708 rush yards, 7 touchdowns.
He just can't throw the ball.
And can he do that again? We're talking about emulating, and we're talking about Jalen Hurts before.
Yeah.
I think Hurts is unlikely to have 13 rushing touchdowns, but he'll be fine in terms of rushing. I highly doubt that Daniel Jones has the same effect with his leg this year.
Yeah.
Having said that, they've got a couple of weapons for him. They've got Darren Waller. His receiving crew doesn't look crash hot, so he might need to do a bit with his legs.
Is it Jalen Hyatt, their rookie wide receiver?
Yep.
I think he's kind of perfect fit for that team because he's a speedster, deep threat. So, take the top off and Daniel can run underneath if he needs to. So, if that's the game plan, if Waller's not open, pull it down and run with it. He's not a bad pick there.
And Geno's highly doubt he'd be quarterback 5, but good on him. Unbelievable Cinderella story.
Yeah. And they've got him more wide receiver talent as well.
Yeah.
With Smith and Jigborough too. So
JSN, they could be looking like a reasonable offensive unit.
yeah.
And then outside of those names, if you're drafting anyone else, can't imagine. It must be a really deep league.
Yeah, well, the one that I think that you missed, the biggest risk of the all, but maybe the biggest reward, Anthony Richardson.
I like it. He could be running for 800 yards this year.
Or more. He's an absolute unit. I've actually been really impressed. Yeah, we knew his arm strength, but it's an absolute cannon. I don't think the Colts will be any good this year, especially if they trade away JT. But if they do trade away JT, he's the offense. So, and they've named him starting QB1. If he plays a full year, I can see him, doing 1,000 yards rushing and maybe 3,000 passing. So,
I don't reckon he passes for 3,000.
I think he could go close.
If he puts up those numbers, that's real good. Yeah. His ADP is 15, so right between Geno and Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you're in some kind of keeping league or dynasty or anything like that,
again, that's
a different story. Anthony Richardson, go.
Yeah,
Smash.
He could be 10th round or later, so he definitely can take a risk on him there.
Jared Goff, just while we're at it. High-powered offense this year.
What's the thing?
The Lions are the shortest to win the NFC North.
Yeah, and you even talk about Matthew Stafford if he's healthy and plays a full season with Cooper Kupp. Like there's plenty of options in the QB room for starting QBs that as long as they play the whole year.
It feels to me that the summation is Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. If you've got to take them early, beware because you're giving up a big talent. Yes. It's very deep. If you want to just go, somewhere in the 5th round, for example, and get a Burrow or a Jackson or a Fields, you're doing fine. And then if you're really leaving it late, there starts to become a few question marks. Deshaun Watson could be anything. Keeper league, you're smashing Anthony Richardson.
Yep.